we're going to be looking at two sculptures that are part of our collection. So to my right, I have a sculpture by an artist called Auguste Rodin. Rodin was working at the same time as Monet in the late 1800s, and depicted here we can see a female figure. It's a naked female figure, and from her body language it looks as if she's trying to cover her face, to hide herself from something, trying to cover herself up, as if she's frightened, as if she's trying to protect herself. If I look at the label again, I can see that this is a character from a biblical story, and it is in fact Eve. Rodin's showing us Eve at the moment after she has eaten the apple from the tree of knowledge, when she has realised that she and Adam are going to be expelled from the Garden of Eden forever. How did Rodin make this sculpture? It's made from bronze, and the bronze would have been heated up until it became a liquid and then poured. How does it not end up as a puddle on the floor? Yeah, he needs a mould. And in order to make the mould, he would have started by creating a wire armature, like a skeleton. And that skeleton would then have been wrapped in clay. Okay, so that would be his original model. From the model, he then would have made a mould, and she would have been cast from bronze in two halves, a bit like a chocolate Easter egg, and then put together. And if I were to turn her on her side, which I'm not going to do for obvious reasons, and you were to look up inside, you would see that she is actually completely hollow. To my left, I've got a piece by Antony Gormley. It was made in 1983, and Antony Gormley is a very well-known living artist. It's also made from metal. It's not made from bronze, it's made from lead and also fiberglass. And whereas we see Eve full of emotion, we see here a very neutral figure, and the figure is standing on a diving board and looks, as if he's about to dive into a swimming pool. Do you remember with Eve, we talked about the original model being made from clay? Well, Antony Gormley doesn't use a clay model as his starting point. For this sculpture, he's actually used himself. And so rather than making the model out of clay, he would stand in the position he wants his sculpture to finish at. And this is where he needs a bit of an assistance. So his assistants would come and, to protect his skin, first of all, wrap him in cling film. Over the top of the cling film, he would then be wrapped in plaster bandages, a bit like if you break an arm or a leg. And the plaster bandages are malleable when they're wet, and then as they dry, they go hard. So he would be wrapped very quickly in the position he was in. Now, I am told that there's a bit of a problem with this, and the problem is, as you can imagine, how he breathes. And in order that he can breathe, I'm told this is true, a straw would be inserted into each nostril for him to breathe through. And then he has to stand like that until the plaster dries. After that, he'd be cut out very, very carefully, and those plaster cutouts would form the basis of the moulds to shape the lead sections, which are then reassembled to make the sculpture as a whole. If you look at these join lines, you can see straight away that they're raised and that they're a different colour. Now, the artist could have hidden these. He could have filed them down, he could have disguised them and made them part of the sculpture. And what I'd like you to think about is why he's chosen to leave them showing. I don't know the answer to that question. There's certainly not a right or a wrong answer, but I think it's interesting for us to think about.